Enough about triathlons.
Wish I could.
All right, Julie, would you mind calling the roll?
Of course not. Kara Caston.
Here.
Ken Dawson.
Here.
Krista Espinoza.
Here.
Cheryl Fuller.
Here.
Jenny Hagstrom.
Here.
And Don Runner.
Here.
Thank you.
All right, having a quorum, let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, so first order of business is approval of minutes. Can I get a motion from the Board of Education to approve the minutes of the May 20th, 2024 business meeting, the June 3rd, 2024 workshop meeting with action items, and the June 3rd, 2024 closed meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Chris moves, Ken seconds.
Thank you very much. Krista Espinoza.
Aye.
Ken Dawson.
Aye.
Cheryl Fuller.
Aye.
Jenny Hagstrom.
Aye.
Kara Caston.
Aye.
And Don Runner.
Aye, motion carries. Julie, do we have any visitors?
No, sir.
Okay, Hank, I'll turn it over to you for item 5.
All right, some of this is new and some of this is review. First is the first draft of the year-end goals summary. This was shared with the board last week via email. It's in your board packet. This is kind of like how we do policy, right? This is your first chance to take a look at it, ask any questions you might have about it right now. Then it'll come back on July 15th to the board to take action and approve that document, and then that goes on the website as our artifact for the year of the work that we accomplished. So I'll take any questions or comments that anybody might have, or we can come back next month as well. And you can always reach out in between, right, if there's something. Anything at top of mind at this point? All right, hearing none, we'll be back next month with that. In a final version, reach out if you have anything between now and then. Last board meeting, we talked about how we're looking at the strategic plan differently with 2 indicators and measures. This work will replace kind of that document that you see this year. Next year, you'll get updates throughout the year, and then at the end, we'll give you a summary based on those indicators and measures. Coming to you this week are the last two to look at. The first one is an equitable and supportive environment. I shared with the board this document as well as some of the draft work that we're looking at doing over the course of the year. We'll be finalizing that at the beginning of July. But for this one, there are 2 measures and indicators. The first is connected to the portion of the expectation of school and community connections. And you can see this really relies on a couple of different pieces. This indicator and measure is a little different than the other ones you saw that were pretty much a single indicator and measure and a single monitoring team that is looking at it. That's what the one next to it, expected behavior, looks like. So if you look at this, there's really, for school community connections, 3 things that we're looking at. One is relationship mapping. This is an activity we're working on in the buildings, which will look at either how students identify trusted people as trusted adults in the building, or adults that identify, like, I've got these kids, or maybe a combination of the 2. And what we're really looking for is students that either aren't identifying any adults as trusted adults in the building, or not being identified as adults, as being like in their group of kids that they're specifically looking out for, right? So that'll be a data set that we'll start gathering and look at next year. We haven't done that in the past. Another thing that we've been working on getting our arms around is participation in co-curriculars and determining attendance and how involved do you need to be considered involved in that activity. Like, sports is pretty easy, but when we get into activities, like, how many events do you really need to show up to say that you're part of German Club, right? And so we're working on defining that, and then that data will come to the board. In the past, the data we've brought you is, have they really registered and said that they're part of that group? But we're looking to get a little more around the idea of you're involved with that group. Finally, for families, we're looking at climate survey. We are evaluating a couple of different tools to move from the 5 essentials into a different climate survey, one that's aimed more at a high school setting. You know, the 5 essentials that we've given in the past, it started out as being state mandated, is really aimed at a smaller elementary setting. So we're out evaluating tools that might be more appropriate for our district. So that's kind of work that's going on this summer and into the start of the next school year. You can see when we plan on kind of reporting this stuff back out to the board. This set of data will start showing up second semester of the next school year, because this one's a little further behind in the data identification and analysis piece. And you can see which administrators are responsible for monitoring that data through the next year. So any questions on school community connections? All right, we'll come back next couple of meetings and approve this in August. So you still have time if you have questions or suggestions to reach out. The next column is a little more straightforward, expected behavior. This looks at students, we want to have 0 or at the most 1 discipline referral for a B code. These are our more severe kind of incidents. And then anybody who receives a B code is going through our PATH program likely, unless it's so severe that we're moving on to a higher level of consequences. And then we don't want to see any student that goes through our PATH program repeat that behavior. So we're monitoring number of students with B codes and recidivism around those codes as well. That is data we already have and already gather. Scott's done a lot of work this year with the PATH program looking at this. So in the fall, we'll be prepared to bring you kind of that first set of data based on this previous school year as our first baseline that we'll look to continually improve over time. Questions on that one? All right. Then moving over to another one of our domains, this is increased student engagement and post-secondary planning. The first one is the 4-year plan, which is really spelled out in our strategic plan. Our students generally do engage in a 4-year planning process while they're with us, but the key change is through law, this new framework called PACE framework showed up just kind of before the pandemic. Schools started to adopt it and work it into their programming. We have as well, but now we've finalized that PACE framework for District 99 and have worked on making sure that it fits into our curriculum that you've heard of, like during access and those kinds of pieces. So really, it's making sure that our 4-year plan moving forward, every student has one of them, and it connects directly to the PACE framework. So that's in development as we just finalize the PACE framework, and as we roll into next year, we'll start tracking that. Capstone experiences, the board has received a report on capstone experiences. Each year Gina provides that and looks at it. But that report each year looks for the previous year, the number of students in all grade levels that are engaged in a capstone experience. What this one looks at is by graduation, we want every student to have engaged in at least one capstone experience over their 4-year career. So it's a similar kind of lens that we're looking at it, but we're, instead of looking at, like, in that past year, how many kids were doing this, what we want to see is every student have one of those capstone experiences over their 4-year career. So you can see how that capstone experience and the 4-year planning overlap with one another. As we talk to college admissions counselors, that capstone experience, especially in an area that a student is looking at pursuing after high school, is essential to have in their high school career. So as students come in 9th grade, we want to build that 4-year plan and start to identify what are some capstone experiences, AP courses, dual credit, TCD, those kinds of things that you might be targeting over your 4-year career. And then as we have those conversations each year or throughout the year with students, we're revisiting that and making sure they're on track to get to that experience or engaging in that.
Is that going to be a big shift, like from getting everyone over the 4 years? Like, where, do you have any sense of where we are
we haven't really looked at just 12th graders to see, we know that every year it's about, what, a third of our, more
A
than
little
a
over, almost 40%.
40% of our students on a yearly basis are engaged in it. But this is just ensuring that every
Look at
kid
cohort.
gets one of those, right? And we got to make sure that it's appropriate for the student. You can imagine a student in our life skills program heading to T99. That capstone experience may look different than a different student in a different type of program, right? So this is really looking at it through the lens of each individual student. Are they getting that experience that they need to prepare them for post-secondary planning?
One other question. Do you typically do these later in high school, even if you plan as a freshman? Like, are they typically junior, senior?
There's more opportunities junior, senior year, especially because a lot of the capstone courses are ones that are at the end of a sequence
Okay.
of courses, right? So you've been engaged in that topic for 3 or 4 years to get to that top level inside of it. So, but that's what the team's going to look at this summer, is really making sure we've defined kind of what that, exactly what that list of experiences are. But then we also need kind of an on-ramp for individual students based on their experience. The other thing is the data set we're going to bring to you are students that have been with us all 4 years, right, for this capstone experience. Because it's kind of tough if a student shows up senior year to try to figure out how to make that work, right? So we're going to look at students that were with us for the duration of their high school career that had an entire 4-year plan, so they had that whole time to work through it. So we'll start giving you updates of how many seniors meet this, but you're really looking 4 years from now for the students that were engaged in the 4-year planning with an eye on a capstone experience. By that time, we should be coming to you with every single one of our students has had that happen, because we'll be intentional about that from the beginning. Where our students now, it's kind of just, I think a lot of our kids do, and we'll look at it and see where we are as a baseline. But I would say within 3 or 4 years, we should see every student getting that met. Other questions on this one?
So it would be something you'd look at, I guess, end of their junior year
Correct.
to ensure that they've, if they're registering for something,
Yeah.
that they're,
I think it's going to be a conversation each of the 4 years, if they're, because some of these, you need to be on a pathway to get there, right? So this will become a common conversation point in the counseling department, probably in our access classrooms as they're setting up for that, and counselors are coming in and delivering content and curriculum in those settings. And this will become more of our common language. So even if you're, in your science class and your teacher's like, well, if you're interested in going in the capstone thing you should be looking at is, right? And it becomes more of the common vernacular in the district.
so a little bit more putting the onus on the students a little bit.
I think it's just all wrapping around that whole planning experience with the counselor and the student and the family as we're talking about what direction is the student heading in. Like, if a student is heading towards the armed forces, like ASVAB and getting through, as many of the core courses with as high of grades as possible is going to give you your best placement when you move into the armed forces. So if that's the direction a student is thinking of going in, we should be talking about, okay, we got to get you prepared for the ASVAB. That's what you need to do. Here's the courses. And then what area of the armed forces are you thinking of going into? Because then we want to get you that capstone course that gets you placed the highest as you make that transition. If you're going into a college experience, what's the major you're thinking of? If you're going into a work experience, how do we get you that work experience, that internship, that kind of experience before you leave us so you're ready to make that transition?
And I know it applies across the different kinds of post-secondary plans, but is it as equally, do you hear from, is it as equally important and shown to be an indicator across everything, or there are some where it's?
Yeah, there's a few things we know from the college and career readiness standards that indicate post-secondary success. Very high likelihood that you will be successful after you leave high school. A lot of these capstone experiences like AP and dual credit, higher level math courses, transition math courses, or English courses
Got it.
are all in those check boxes. And If a student's getting multiples of those, the
Okay.
predictor is even greater. So this all aligns with those state college and career readiness standards that we're also monitoring separately from this. So the two will
Great.
work together with one another. Did I miss anything there, Gina?
That's good.
Any other questions? All right, these will be back, all four, kind of in an overview, single-page document in July for you to look at, and then look to approve those at our workshop with this as an action item, the first meeting in August. Okay, Jim College's final swan song reports here for the board before he rides off into the sunset and retires here in a week. I'll turn it over to Jim.
All right, you would think I would have something spectacular for you. Like a new building or something, no. I've got cleaning supplies, filters, rock salt, and copy paper. So brace
Save the
yourself.
best for last.
I'll make it as interesting as I can. So, bulk purchasing, these are yearly bids. We do this on a yearly basis, and I actually developed this program years ago when the schools were kind of purchasing all different items, and we wanted to do both similar to each school, and we were going green and all that good stuff, and we wanted to condense and use similar products, so if custodians were working at either building, familiar with the products, know how to use it, so that it's worked out great, and I hope it continues, because the beauty of this is we put our specifications together to the product that we want, which is specific to what we like and works for our buildings, and then we send it out to all these bidders, and as you'll see, each year it's getting better, and we have bidders from different states now. We put it on this digital platform, Building Connect, and it goes out everywhere, so we're even expanding, so these bidders that are putting numbers in are really crunching, and as you see, we're saving money, and that's the intent, and we're doing better with less product, cleaning our buildings. So this is for the 24-25 fiscal year, and we reviewed the bids, and there were 16 vendors that put in. And like I said, we've got Wisconsin, New York, California, so many different states are low bidders. Actually, 15 out of the 16 won something from the bids, so we're excited about that as well. Our numbers came in under budget, so we're happy with that. So tonight, we're going to ask you to approve an award for the 15 vendors in an aggregate amount of $153,165.98.
Any questions for Jim? All right, now for your favorite one of all.
The closer. Again, this is a yearly bid. We go out each year, and throughout the years, we've reduced copying machines. We've done a great job in the last 5 years on less printers in our buildings, being more areas where we can go and get the print instead of having single-use printers for many of the offices and areas. That's worked out great. This year, we're seeing a big reduction because last year, I think we over-ordered and we used less this year. So we have a surplus of supplies in our 2 buildings. So as you'll see, the number is very low for this year. We had 6 bidders. 3 were awarded some kind of bid, color paper or white. And this year also is, last year, if you remember, bids came in high, and then I did not accept the bids, and then I went off the state bid. So each year, as I did last year, I cross-referenced just to make sure, because the bid was so low for white paper. I'm like, wow, it can't be any lower than the state bid, but it was. So we're taking it, and that was Staples. So this year, we have 3 bidders that are being awarded, and the total amount for the 3 vendors is $16,328.65, and that's what we're asking you to approve tonight.
And just for reference, when I got here in 2017, this was $60,000 a year. So
Or more.
we've
Absolutely,
reduced
or
our-
more. We've been up to
paper
almost
use a lot.
100. great news.
I didn't see Dunder Mifflin on here.
I might have tried to slide that one by you in his last report. All right, any questions for Jim?
Jim, just a general comment. You were integral in the master facility project, and you're a gentleman, you're a hard worker, you're a great communicator. You will be sorely missed, and I really enjoyed our friendship over the years, so thanks for all of your hard work for the district.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure working for District 99, and I've told Hank, Hank's been supportive of everything that I do, and the board has been supportive, so all this stuff would not have happened, all these beautiful buildings and areas for our kids would not happen without your support, so I thank you. It's a great district. It's been a pleasure working here.
And there's cake at the end to celebrate, Jim.
Clap? No, we don't. Okay.
So don't run away without cake and shaking Jim's hand. So, thank you, Jim.
Guess that means you have to stay for the whole meeting.
Yes.
All right, Infinite Campus has been a project that we've been working on, led by Travis, for the whole year, as we've shared with the board progress about this throughout the year. It is a tool that needs to be replaced. Support for it is dwindling almost day by day. So Travis has led a process in selecting Infinite Campus as our next student information system. This is the system that handles, it's the brains of the district, right? This is attendance, this is grading, this is scheduling. Everything that we do here in the district really ties back to this. So we're really excited to bring in Infinite Campus as that new tool. It's kind of a 2-year process. This next year is the migration over, and then the year after that would be implementation. So, and there'd be some crossover of that over the course of the year. Did I miss anything there, Travis?
No, good.
I was gonna say, it's ending in 2030, but we're starting the migration now?
Yes.
So we'll be done with eSchool after this next school year, so we're not waiting until 2030. We wanted to take a proactive approach, again, because their support and actually updates, all of those things were not up to par. So we were falling behind in what we were able to offer, not only our teachers, but our students and our parents, as far as the use of our student information system.
Oh, so are they going EOL in 2030 as far as the system, or we are?
No,
Okay.
the whole system.
The whole system is going
Confused. I'm
out.
like, we're moving
Yep.
So they're the parent company that owns them is dedicating fewer and fewer resources to it. So we want to get off the ship before it
Yeah,
sinks.
that makes sense. They're
Yeah.
no longer gonna support it.
Yep.
It's basically any upgrades or any features
Correct.
or such. Okay, I
Yep.
got it.
And the action item today is to not exceed 165. Travis has reduced it already below that. So he's still working with the company to get us our lowest and best possible price. But that will definitely be under, and we'll inform the board of where we end up at below that. That is already at 165, significantly less than what we pay each year for our current product that is not as good as this one. So,
That's great.
any other questions? All right, that's an action item later this evening. Facility usage and rentals. Following the last board meeting, we shared some updated information with the board. Travis is going to just take a second to redefine some of the data that was asked for here. A bunch of other information has been shared with you outside of this meeting as well.
So this is just breaking it down by invoices and the number of rentals. So as you can see, 110 total invoices throughout this school year, the 23-24. That resulted, when you look at in its entirety, 675 rentals. So you can see the breakdown with our Class B being our highest at more than 50% of that. The total revenue, so this is just revenue, not our expenses, anything along those lines. You can see it's just over $128,000.
And the model that you proposed puts us within 5,000 of that.
Correct. Correct.
So that's 128 total revenue, not minus expenses, is what you said, right?
Correct. That's the revenue side, not taking into account any of the the expenses for, on the personnel side, that we're paying for any of our upkeep of facilities, anything along those lines.
And tonight, we're being asked to approve your recommendation as to the rental rates.
Correct.
And then, but we've also sort of agreed that we're going to revisit some of the underlying policies.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
And if we do revisit the policy and that has an impact on how we look at the rate schedule, would we just relook at the rate schedule?
Correct.
Yep.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, so this is the intermediate fix, if you will, so that we can expand to the weeknight rentals. It allows us to change that fee structure from B to C to be 200%, instead of the 150% that it is right now, making sure that before anything happens, they have to show their proof of insurance, those different components, so everything related to that. But yes, we're going to follow up. And again, the nice thing, it's a living, breathing document, right? It's based off of board approval, so we can make changes to it at any point in time.
So we already have that meeting scheduled for July 16th to take a look at everything that's in there and start discussing with policy committee about any potential changes or areas that we'd like to look at, and then we can go back and forth, policy committee and the board, until we get this kind of massaged into the direction that the board has the vision for it. So tonight is just those top kind of 4 bullets is what's in that document.
The revenue includes what costs come with a rental in terms of security, cleanup, setup. Those
What
immediate,
charges
those
are,
immediate costs are built into,
what the charges are.
Yeah.
But it's not the cost at all. That's not like our net. That is strictly the revenue that is
okay,
from that.
okay.
So there's not a ton of net revenue from rentals, once you
Take
put
all
in all
that
the
out.
personnel pieces and those kinds of things. And it's also very difficult for us to sort out truly what our expenses are, because it depends on the employee that picks up that assignment and what their rate of pay is, and is there overtime, and all of those moving pieces make it really hard to say, like, what were our costs for that. So that's one of the pieces we're trying to better understand as we head into the policy committee and try to make more sense out of this. Our goal is always to come close to break even on the personnel costs, right? And then for your group B, you make a little bit of money on your facilities. For your group C, you make a little bit more.
Yeah, that may be a little bit harder to do too, because if you start to put in costs like lights, electricity, well, that is electricity, but heating and cooling and those things, running water.
Yep. Wear and tear on all your facilities, your parking lots, everything else, your surfaces. Yeah, that all, and then, it's like turning your house into an Airbnb. There's a lot of costs, right? Or, letting somebody borrow your car, same type of thing, right? There's the cost you might charge just for mileage, but then there's all of the other pieces that go with it. So we'll dig in more with the policy committee and see what comes of that. But in the meantime, we'd like to make those changes tonight under the action items, which make those things happen.
That's in the consent agenda, I think, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay.
Which would take effect November 1st, is that right?
For
Are
if
rentals
there's
beginning?
the rental window, right, is that next rental window, but if there were any rentals that are made now that have not already been, then those
Okay.
would be after this meeting. Those would be in effect.
Any new rentals immediately after tonight.
Correct.
All right. Commercial insurance renewals, I gave you a write-up about this in the board packet. This is the big key takeaway. Insurance claims mostly related to pretty much 4 lawsuits have significantly increased over the last 10 years. And then, of course, inflation. Insurance is an area that's being hit heavily by inflationary costs. And so we have 4 areas in which our insurance is going up drastically. Overall, then our insurance that we're asking you to approve tonight is that total of $1,028,050, 22% from last year. If there are any questions, I will turn it over to Jeree to answer those. All right, so that is up as an action item this evening. And hopefully those lawsuits will end soon, and this will start turning the other direction. Next one is review of student handbook. We have no recommended changes in the policy portion of that document. So nothing in the discipline code, nothing in the activities or athletic handbook. No changes coming to you.
So we're just renewing the handbook as approved from last year.
As approved from last year. Yep. And that, once the board does that, we have the board do that because it then officially serves as board policy, where if we ever end up in a legal situation regarding either of these documents, then we're covered. Questions on that one? All right, and then my last one is FOIA requests. We receive them, we fill them, and they are all posted on our website. If you search for FOIA requests, you can find them.
Okay, item number 6 to the consent agenda. Before the board votes on the consent agenda, is there any agenda item a board member would like to pull out of the consent agenda for further discussion? Hearing none, can I get a motion for the Board of Education to approve the consent agenda as presented, which includes A, personnel report, appointment certified, transfer of position classified, B, personnel report, retirement classified, resignation classified, C, personnel report, request to rescind irrevocable intent to retire, denial of request classified, D, May treasurer's report and May financial pages, E, commercial insurance renewals, F, resolution continuing appointment of school treasurer, G, treasurer's surety bonds for 2024-2025, H, approval of administrative regulation 8.20 AR1, facility rental fees, and 8.20 AR2, regulations and general conditions for use of District 99 facilities.
So moved.
Second.
Chris moves, Ken seconds.
Thank you very much. Krista Espinoza,
Aye.
Ken Dawson,
Aye.
Sherelle Fuller,
Aye.
Jenny Hagstrom,
Aye.
Kara Caston,
Aye.
and Don Renner.
Aye, motion carries. Item number 7, recommendations for action. Item A, can I get a motion for the Board of Education to approve award of contract for custodial, maintenance, grounds, and filter supplies for 2024-2025 to the noted vendors in the aggregate amount of $153,165.98.
So moved.
Second.
Jenny moves, Chris seconds.
Thank you. Jenny Hagstrom,
Aye.
Krista Espinoza,
Aye.
Sherelle Fuller,
Aye.
Kara Caston,
Aye.
and Ken Dawson,
Aye.
and Don Renner.
Aye, motion carries. Item B, can I get a motion for the Board of Education to approve an award of contract to the vendors noted for copier paper for fiscal year 2024-2025 in the aggregate amount of $16,328.65?
So moved.
Second.
Kara moves, Jenny seconds.
Thank you. Kara Caston,
Aye.
Jenny Hagstrom,
Aye.
Ken Dawson,
Aye.
Krista Espinoza,
Aye.
Sherelle Fuller,
Aye.
and Don Renner.
Aye, motion carries. Item C, can I get a motion for the Board of Education to approve the administration to enter into a contract with Infinite Campus for the purchase of a student information system in an amount not to exceed $165,000?
So moved.
Second.
Kara moves, Chris seconds.
Thank you. Kara Caston,
Aye.
Krista Espinoza,
Aye.
Sherelle Fuller,
Aye.
Jenny Hagstrom,
Aye.
Ken Dawson,
Aye.
and Don Renner.
Aye, motion carries. Item D, motion, can I get a motion for the Board of Education to reapprove the student parent handbook, including discipline code, and the athletic activities handbook as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Ken moves, Jenny seconds.
Thank you. Ken Dawson,
Aye.
Jenny Hagstrom,
Aye.
Kara Caston,
Aye.
Krista Espinoza,
Aye.
Sherelle Fuller,
Aye.
and Don Renner.
Aye, motion carries. Hank, old business?
Old business is the second reading and approval of policies. These came to you last month, were discussed with the policy committee and then forwarded to the entire board. Since then, we have not received any questions or concerns or revisions in any of these, so we recommend that the board take action and approve these policies as presented.
Tonight, or will that be
No, that's tonight.
tonight?
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't write on there, sorry.
That's okay. So how do you want me to ask for a motion? Do you want me to ask for a motion for approval of all of the policies? Do you want
As
me?
presented.
As presented.
As presented?
Yep,
Yep,
yep.
thank you.
Motion for the board,
I
the motion
appreciate
is
it.
for the board to approve the policies as presented.
Okay. Then can I get a motion for the Board of or from the Board of Education to approve the policies as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Ken moves, Chris seconds.
Thank you. Ken Dawson.
Aye.
Chris Espinoza.
Aye.
Cheryl Fuller.
Aye.
Jenny Hagstrom.
Aye.
Kara Caston.
Aye.
And Don Renner.
Aye, motion carries.
you.
Any new business?
No new business? No
Julie,
receptions?
no visitors?
No visitors.
Jenny, can we get a report on Lend?
I don't have anything new to
Okay.
report.
No, the legislative session ended.
I
the
think it
budget's
finally
there.
did, like
Yeah.
2 in the morning one night.
A few compromises between the governor and the legislative body as to where to end up with that. A little bit more in special ed transportation, hopefully, when it all shakes out, we'll see. But it's pretty close to what was presented earlier in the year.
And then I think I'm asking for an update from Chris now. Is that correct for Sasset?
Yep.
Okay. Any update from Sasset?
Yeah, we had a governing board meeting 2 weeks ago, I think. We have a special board meeting coming up, or a special governing board meeting coming up on the 26th or the 25th, to get a reading of the budget, because they had not finalized it as of that meeting. Are you on the
Yep, we
the
finalized
finance
it last
committee?
week. So I
Okay.
attended both the finance committee meeting and the board meeting for the board of directors.
Okay.
And overall, our costs are going down because of the cost structure that they're building. And I think for the first time in a long time, they have a very well-thought-out, comprehensive plan. It's easy for all the member districts to understand. And Chris will get a chance to vote on that and see it at his next meeting next week.
Yep, yeah, the 26th at 6:30, and then we have the regular scheduled governing board meeting on August 7th, I believe,
Yeah.
to actually approve, because there's like the first reading, and then there's like
It's gotta be
a
on display.
30 days.
Yeah,
So we'll approve it on August 7th, but that's about it.
Thanks, Chris. Terry not being here tonight, I'm going to skip a report on the foundation. Ken, anything to update on IASB?
Not really. We have the conference in November 22nd through the 24th. So that will be coming, and our requests are in for hotels. So we'll see where we end up, hopefully back at the Fairmont. And as soon as courses and sessions are available, that'll be exciting to sign up. And we'll go as savvy veterans this year to us rookies. Know how to navigate it a little better. Looking forward to it.
This week in preliminary notes is the workshops. Yeah, so we'll have the workshops for you this week. And then locally, remember Terry is part
Terry.
of IASB in DuPage, and they sent out a survey
Years.
to rank the topics you'd like to see at those 2 sessions next year. So make sure that you fill out that survey.
Now, are we going to add another announcement section for Sherelle and the committee that she's joining going forward?
We only in the past have had that person report back if there's something of significance that impacts us.
Okay. And how often will that committee meet?
I
Do we
think
know?
it's quarterly.
I've sent the name, so she should get an email from them, but I've sent them your information.
Yeah, I thought it was once a month, so.
Okay.
We talked about it and, yeah.
All right, well, I'll just keep it on my
We can add it there.
perspective.
See if anything pops up.
Yeah, and if nothing, she can just say
Yeah,
that
no
we
worries.
didn't meet.
Yep.
Yeah, and if you may be helpful if you do. That way I'll know,
You'll remember.
to see it. It's like, okay, I gotta talk about that.
Okay.
When I read the.
Yeah, we can add it as one of our standing communications.
All right, item number 12, upcoming board meetings. Our next board meeting will be here, July 15th at 6:30 PM. And then we had a closed session on the docket, but I don't
We don't
believe we
need
have
it.
any
We have-
need to go in.
Nope.
So I think that's it. Can I get a motion from the Board of Education to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Ken moves, Kara seconds, all in favor? Aye. We are adjourned.
And there is cake to celebrate Jim here. We'll get it here in a second.